From the observations of more than 35,000 sales calls carried out by experienced professional sales experts, it became clear that the quality of the questions asked by a salesperson were the key to whether or not a sale was closed. I'm going to show you how you can become a sales master if you just ask these 4 questions. So let's jump right in, shall we? I want you to imagine the following situation. You own a company and one day you get a call from a random person who suddenly starts asking questions about what you do and how you run your business. He asks what machine you use and if they are difficult for your operators to use. Then right after you've said that your machines are rather hard to use, the person on the other end of the line immediately offers a solution saying that he could fix that problem for just a tiny $120,000. Would you do business with this man? Obviously not, right? It takes much more than this. But how do you do this? Everybody knows that asking the right questions increase closure rates. But what kind of questions should you ask and how many of them? Spin selling is an acronym of 4 different types of sales questions that can take a disinterested prospect to someone who's motivated to buy. The S in spin stands for situation questions. Situation questions are an essential part of most sales calls. You should not ask too many of them though, because they can easily bore people. Successful salespeople tend to ask fewer situation questions. Examples are: what sort of business do you run? How many people do you employ? What kind of equipment are you using? The common factor in all these questions is that they each collect facts, information and background data about the customer's existing situation. By doing your homework before the call, you can eliminate many of the fact-finding questions that can bore the buyer. Moving on to the second type of question, we have the P that stands for problem questions. Really, the core of selling is mostly solving a problem. When asking problem questions, you are doing just that. If you can't solve a problem for your customer, then there's no basis for a sale. Examples are: are you satisfied with your present equipment? Isn't it difficult to process peak loads with your present system? Does this old machine give you reliability problems? What's the common factor in all these questions? Each one probes for a problem, difficulties or dissatisfactions. I would like to take you back to the example about the machine that I was trying to sell you for $120,000. You just said that the machines are pretty hard to use, right? And I immediately offered you a solution. So what I should have done instead of trying to close the deal immediately, I should have asked more questions. I could have asked, are you satisfied with your present equipment? You as a business owner who knows that the machines aren't great would respond something like, well, you know, it isn't great, but it gets the job done. And I would ask, so you say it isn't great at the moment. What are the disadvantages that you are experiencing with your present equipment? With these questions, I am trying to uncover problems which I can later solve. If I can manage to convince you that I can solve a problem, I am potentially providing you with something useful. In small sales, you can be very successful if you uncover problems and then demonstrate that you can solve them. However, even though many people use this style in larger sales, it isn't effective in the larger sales at all. The next type of question is implication questions. In a larger sale, it is essential to take a problem that the buyer perceives to be small and build it up into a problem that is large enough to justify action. Once again, I would like to take you back to the example I've used before and imagine yourself being a business owner. So far, you've told me that your machines are rather hard to use. Is that a problem big enough to justify a $120,000 purchase for a new machine? Of course not. But what if, with the help of implication questions, I could uncover that only 3 operators were trained in your business to operate the machines, and that it costs about $5,000 for each operator to be trained? What if I could uncover that if one of the operators gets sick or whatever, the other 2 have to work overtime and you as a business owner would have to pay over 2 times the normal job rate? What if I could uncover that all this leads to production loss and ultimately to loss of quality? Would you buy from me now? A tiny little problem has now grown so much larger and so much more costly that a $120,000 solution no longer seems unreasonable. Implication questions uncover effects and consequences of the customer's problem. Examples are: what effect does this have on your output? Could that lead to increased costs? Implication questions build up the customer's perception of value. So finally, right after asking implication questions, you should move to the 4th type of question to build up the value or usefulness of the solution: the need payoff questions. The need payoff questions helps you build up the positive elements of a solution. Basically, they ask about the value or usefulness of solving a problem. Typical examples include: is it important to you to solve this problem? Why would you find the solution so useful? Need payoff questions focus the customer's attention on the solution rather than the problem. Also, with the help of need payoff questions, they get the customer telling you the benefits of your own solution. In our example, I could ask you something like, how do you think a faster machine would help you? You would respond something like, it would certainly take away the production bottleneck and it would also make better use of a skilled operator. Suddenly, we have the customer telling you the benefits of our own solution, which creates a positive problem-solving atmosphere. With the help of the SPIN strategy and of course a lot of selling practice, you will become a sales master and you will become very successful. Practice the situation, problem, implication and need payoff questions in your own life and become very successful in sales. Thank you for watching and as always, keep reading as much as you can.